Hi there, Dave Dubeau, publisher of Canadian Profits, here with this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. We've got 3 more segments for you. Our business breakthrough, where we're going to take another lesson from the Food Network, our real estate tip about how to deal with some nightmare tenant issues, and our mindset minute about going for it. So stay tuned. All right, so for today's business breakthrough, we're going to revisit some lessons from the Food Network. This one is a show that I just started kind of watching from time to time called Restaurant Stakeout. And what they do is they put hidden cameras all through a restaurant, like all through it, in the kitchen, in the main serving areas, behind the bar, all over the place. Staff doesn't know about it, and they watch how they interact and how they deal with the customers and how they're working. And then you have the owner of the restaurant there with the expert restaurateur, and they're going through this, watching everything as it's going on and just seeing where everything's getting screwed up. So very, very enlightening program. Obviously, there's all the drama and the normal stuff with what's going on behind the scenes. But the episode I just watched was very interesting. The owner of this restaurant was actually working in his restaurant 90 hours a week. That's absolutely insane. He was in there 7 days a week doing crazy hours, and he still didn't know what the hell was going on with his own staff. So they watched the staff, and there were staff there painting their fingernails when they should have been working, staff drinking on the job, staff turning around and doing text messages and stuff like that when they aren't supposed to. Their staff treating their customers horrendously, ignoring people that wanted to do big orders for catering and that sort of thing, treating customers really poorly over the phone for takeout orders, which represents 40% of this guy's business. He was absolutely in shock by the crappy customer service that a lot of his staff was giving. Now, to give his staff a little bit of credit, they never really got any training, and so when they went back after the expert guy tore everybody a new one, he sat down with them and trained them one by one and showed them how they should be doing, how to set up systems, all that kind of stuff, and they really turned the business around. But what was the lesson that I got out of that? I've been in business myself for a long time, had my language training company in Costa Rica, and I know for a fact that people do not always do things the way that you hope they do, the way that you expect them to, and the way that you've communicated that you want them to do things. So it's all about follow-up and doing that mystery shopping in your own business from time to time. Now, how does this apply to you if you're self-employed or you got 1 or 2 employees, or your wife works with you, your husband works with you? It doesn't stop there. You still have to look at things from an objective point of view, have somebody call up, pretend to be a potential customer, potential client, and see how they're treated. All right? So it doesn't matter what size your business is or you're a real estate investor, how are you seen from the eyes of your potential customer? How are you treated as a potential customer? And be very, very aware of that. That's your business breakthrough for this week. Okay, for this week's real estate tip, we just recently last month had a Kamloops Real Estate Investment Club meeting, talked about nightmare tenants, tenants from hell, and how to deal with them. So there are some really, really good ideas brought up there by some of our more seasoned and experienced landlords in the room. One of the ideas for how to prevent getting a nightmare tenant in the first place is in your application, your tenant application form, have a very simple little question there asking if they mind if you get a criminal check on them. All right, so that's one little thing there. Now you might be saying, hey Dave, but I heard that's not legal to require a criminal record check from people. Fair enough, maybe it's not legal to require it, but you can request it, and if they make a big stink about it, you don't necessarily have to rent them the property, do they? Somebody's gonna make a big stink about that, chances are they've got something to hide. Doesn't mean you're actually gonna get the criminal record check, but it gives you one option, and it gives you a red flag if they make a fuss about that. Another thing in there is requesting a credit report. Now again, obviously a lot of tenants aren't going to have great credit, but you can request a credit report and see how they are. So again, if they create a real fuss about that, or they really don't want to do that, that's another red flag that gives you warning that you might not want to rent with this person. Another big tip that we got as well was from one of our landlords. He's very, very thorough about who he rents to. He's been around the block a few times. So he'll actually interview, he'll get a short list of people he's interested in renting to, and he'll actually go to their home to interview them, to meet them where they live right now. That gives him a great chance to see what the shape is of the property they're renting at the moment, how well they take care of it or they don't take care of it. He said he's avoided renting to some real nightmare tenants by doing these 3 ideas. So Tony, thanks a lot for those tips. Appreciate it. Bruce, thank you as well for your presentation. We always learn great things from coming out to these Real Estate Investment Club meetings. That's your real estate tip for this week. Okay, so for this week's Mindset Minute, again, we're going to take a look at Wisdom of Ages, Wayne Dyer. This is a book that I'm going through right now, really enjoying a lot. And one of it is about regrets. And he's got a poem here from John Greenleaf Whittier. I won't read the whole thing, but part of it is, for all sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these, it might have been. So that is a very, very good point. And it talks about living your life without regrets, or trying to live your life without regrets. How do I take that? Well, that means that I work very, very hard on myself not to be scared to take new actions. Now, throughout my entire life, I've been very, very fortunate. I've been forced to go outside of my comfort zone over and over and over again, and it's definitely helped me grow as a person. So when I was a young fellow, I went off to boarding school for grades 9 and 10, so I was away from my family. Doing that for 2 years, that was a huge growth experience, really got a lot from that. That gave me the confidence to go out on my own after university and start traveling, seeing the world, living overseas. Ended up living overseas for almost 14 years altogether. Again, big growing experience. And I took that leap, I took that chance, I sure am glad that I did. Coming back to Canada, that was another leap. Sure, we were coming out back home, but we were starting all over again from scratch. But again, big leap of faith, big jump in there, facing the fear and going for it anyhow. Seems like every year I'm doing something to face one of my fears. And it's not that I particularly like it, but I know that I have to do that in order to keep growing. So that's the Mindset Minute, is what are you doing to stretch yourself? What is it that you really want to do that might be a stretch for you and then you haven't taken action on it? And what can you do to start taking action on that? Because at the end of the day, at the end of our lives, on our deathbed, you don't want to be looking back on your life and saying, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Take action, face your fear. What's the worst thing that could happen? Really, if you look at it that way, it ain't that bad. That's your Mindset Minute for this week. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. What's going on? Well, tomorrow we've got our webinar, How to Profit from U.S. Delinquent Properties, Tax Liens, Tax Deed Certificates for Canadians, with our friend Ted Thomas, America's #1 expert on tax liens and tax deed certificates. So if you're interested in how to get 16, 20, 24% return on your investment backed by the good old U.S. government, check out the webinar. It's going to be focused on how Canadians can do that. So check it out, CanadianProfitsWebinar.com. Lines are filling up very, very, very quickly. This is looking like it's going to be one of our most popular webinars ever. If you can't be on the call live tomorrow, go ahead, register anyhow. We'll let you know about the replay. What else is going on? Well, we've got our, again, if you're not currently a Canadian Profits member, our Back to School, Back on Track offer. Check out the banner on the side there for that. And if you are a member or a new member, please remember to take advantage of our special Back to School quiz this month. It's a lot of fun, and you can click on the tab there or go to CanadianProfitsMembers.com and you can do it over there as well. And remember, you're going to be, if you participate in that, fill out the quiz completely, you'll be entered in a draw for a chance to win one of 3 brand new Google Nexus tablets, which I've been told are the hottest thing on the market right now. In fact, they're so hot, they're sold out of Staples. We have to actually order these things online because there aren't any available in town. They say they're even hotter than the Apple iPad. So check that out. Hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.